Hey everyone, today we have Doug Furr here. He is a good friend of mine. He's the original master red pillar. He red pilled me about 2 years ago, I guess it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
2017, late 2017. Yeah.
yeah, I've been always open-minded, but then when I met him, he kind of started bringing up all the 9/11 stuff, and I thought I'd look into everything, and everything that he was saying made sense. That yeah, we've been lied to over and over and over again. So I wanted to have him on the show today and talk to him about a few things. This is my very first interview, so it's pretty exciting. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Welcome, Douglas Furr.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm excited. Finally, we get to record, and I'm looking forward to many conversations. I know that you've got a great future in this because we've had some in-depth conversations. We've been so many times like, oh, we should have recorded that one. And we've met a lot of interesting people where I think, and who we follow and some of that. I think there's a lot of potential for you and your interviews with people. And it's been a pleasure having those conversations with you. And at least I can speak to somebody where they don't think I'm crazy.
Yeah, I've been just pretty much obsessively watching show after show, interview after interview of like minds since the beginning of all this pantomime in March. And it's been, yeah, I've been like addicted because there's not many people we can talk to in our community. So I listen to like Laura Eisenhower, who I'm a huge fan of, and I hope I can get her on the show at some point. And Alyssa Danan, who I met through Laura. And then, yeah, Charlie Ward, Alpha Sony, Sasha Stone. They've been so amazing to listen to. And it kind of, if you're by yourself, like in your community, thinking the way, all the other truthers are thinking, you kind of like question yourself sometimes. You're like, is this for real? Like, and then you kind of go online and you listen to like-minded people and you're just like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. This is great.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if you remember the Bumblebee Girl video from, I think it was in the 90s. I can't think of the band name, but the Bumblebee Girl, she just wore Bumblebee outfit and she just couldn't find her people. And then at the end of the video, she finds the Bumblebee crowd and she finds her people. I kind of feel like sometimes that's what we are, and so it's amazing when we do find our community because it's like, wow, we're not crazy. And yeah, you've inspired me to listen to. You got me on to Sasha Stone, who's just super articulate and eloquent. And when he speaks the truth and you just feel it. And I love that. I love when you feel it in your heart and in your soul. It's like, these are my people. This is the truth. And yeah, we're not crazy. So a lot of great people to listen to out there. And I think that could be a whole conversation at some point, is just who to share conversations with and say, follow this person, go do your research and look at these people. So
Yeah. And I think, I'm really grateful for you to be in my life because you've been like my rock since the beginning of this. Like, I don't think I've had anyone else to really talk to. And so you're probably a bit sick of me at this point because I like tell you every single thing that comes across. Any download I get, I just like share it with you instantly. And you're like, you already told me this. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh shit. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should start a channel because I have no one else to talk to. And yeah, no, I think it's really important that all the, I don't know what you want to call people who've come here specifically for this period of time, who've reincarnated and come back to Earth to help in this transfer of power back to the people. So I think it's really important. I feel like we've all been spread out all across the world for like intentionally. And so right now it's more important than ever that we all connect in some way or form, and that we start sharing and coming together and helping each other, activating each other. And then I see us like physically coming to meet in the future, all of us together. So I feel like this is just the beginning. And yeah, I'm excited to I'm starting to do this because I want to like reach out to others and start networking and forming those alliances, because I think that's really important moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think when we start these conversations and then we run into people and suddenly we're attracting people, like-minded people wherever we go. And it's like, wow, I was meant to meet that person and have this conversation. And what I like is that the new people that are coming into our lives via um, YouTube or BitChute now. I think YouTube is shutting down everybody, which is a sign that the truth is being shared. But what is cool is that they're just average, normal people like us that have been awake for a long time, and now they're interviewing each other, and they didn't necessarily get into this. It wasn't their life. They weren't recording conversations and interviewing people, but you can just see it's blowing up because people are hungry for the truth. And in the last year, people were kind of forced to get online and search the truth. And you can see that with the censorship and stuff like that, it's obviously what they say is everybody's over their target because you're starting to get shut down, kicked off, censored. I was kicked off Twitter a month or so ago, and I was kind of late to the scene on that because I didn't really like social media, but I got off of Facebook because it was too draining and just, oh, I don't know, it just was disgusting, the people that were on there and the things they were sharing. And I couldn't share anything anymore. You know, I get more comments and likes if I changed my profile picture, but anything I shared, nobody was seeing. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to get off it. It's no good. I don't want to get worked up. So I found a good community on Twitter with patriots, and it was awesome. And then they took that all away from me. So I really missed some of that community with the Twitter stuff, but now I'm on Gab, and it's going to be a, you know, process getting all that back on. But yeah, so I'm excited where we're going. I guess we should say the date today is February 7th, 2021. It's a big day. I have a lot of stuff going to be happening this month. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I think it's so important that everyone who's awake to what's going on start using their voices as much as possible. So, like for me, I've struggled my whole life with like my throat chakra and just being unable to speak my truth. And I feel like a lot of women, and as well as men, but I think predominantly women are in that boat of just speaking their truth and not being comfortable and not feeling like they're going to get attacked or you know, it's just been like such a throughout the generation such an ancestral trauma of like gagging us of like our own spiritual truth. And now we can actually speak up, and it's so important, although we still might get attacked, but it's like learning how to work through that again and breaking. It's predominantly just breaking that energetic tension around this area and just like being able to expand that energy outwards and just speak. And like even right now, I feel like I'm shaking because
Yeah.
I'm not normally just speaking my truth. And
Yeah, I
so,
agree. I mean, I sit there and I bottle it up, and all I think about is writing stuff and putting signs all over the town and say, hey, wake up, or question this and look into this. And I never do. And I started writing, and you gave me that book on sacred writing, and it was, you know, but I just, you know, I haven't published anything or tried that, you know. I've been reading lots and researching. Like I said, I've just almost been obsessed. I've been on the computer every day trying to just like a sponge, just absorbing as much as I can from people. And then so it's like, yeah, let's start speaking our truth and see how that goes as an outlet. I think we're both very artistic. We have a lot to say. We're learning more, and we should just need to share it, because I mean, in the last week or two or the last month, I've been told that I've drank the Kool-Aid so many times. I'm
oh
getting
yeah,
so sick of it. It's like, I don't remember drinking any Kool-Aid. I just remember knowing that the government has been lying to us for a long time. The more that I entertain um, things that kind of go against my beliefs or the things that I've been taught, but I've opened my mind up to, you know, these other ideas so that I can make a decision, you know, balance it out, and I can discern the truth. Well, I found that, you know, a lot of the things that I believed in, I no longer believe in anymore. And so speaking about it helps, I think. And I opened myself up to the truth more. I just said, you know, what is the truth? I thought it was a specific thing. I saw that there was a video or a website that was just dedicated to truth, and you could upload your story on what your definition of the truth is. And the very top one was it showed the energy behind truth, and truth comes into you and it's expanding, because then when you have truth and you're opened up to it, it's expansion. And so it comes in and it goes out. But if you're into falsehoods and illusions and stuff, like, it's very restricting, and it's you just feel the energy behind it. And so when I realized, hey, this is really cool, it's not just truth has a specific definition, it is something that is constant, that's always going to come to the surface. That if you start to speak the truth, take off your mask, your metaphorical mask, not the ones that people are their face diapers, but the mask that a lot of us have been told to wear since we were kids, the disingenuine self, that we've been trying to hide behind. Once you take that off, you are attracted to more truth. It comes to you. And so that's what I found. And I found this was so amazing, that you can actually learn to speak truth, to attract the truth. And then you feel that vibration. And so then when somebody's speaking the truth. Your heart will tell you, your intuition tells you, your intuition is completely connected to it. And that's what I have found. So I dedicated to that. And that opens up so much. It opens up to spirituality, and love. It all has a high vibration. And that's what I'm excited about. And that's how I know when I'm on the right path, because the universe has just opened up. It's miraculous what it's done for me since I made that decision to speak my truth.
And you've actually been like my, the blowing my flame, like, and pushing me to do the same, like watching you and seeing you speak your truth, and always every single person we meet and I'm with you, you're speaking your truth, and that is enabling me to do the same. So like, I'm kind of just following in your steps, and I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. So I have somebody who's kind of like blowing on my flame to do the same.
Yeah, well, vice versa. I think that's what we're here for, is to stoke each other's fire. You've inspired me to do a lot of things, you became a roommate and we sold the house, and you inspired me to buy the boat. It gave us that freedom. We bought 2 boats, and you live on the sailboat, you look after it, and we have the freedom to move around. And it's been awesome, because now we're not attached to the land and just stuck to a 1/4 acre. Our ocean is our backyard now.
Yeah.
And so you've inspired me a lot of things, because you have a lot of courage. And but I'm happy that I can help, because I wonder sometimes, like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? I know that I need to be doing something. I ask my creator all the time to show me the way, show me the path, let me know what I can do to help. And that's why, so like, when we do get out in the public, it's like, I'm not going to be afraid of what people think, of what I have to say. And I know that I'm rubbing people the wrong way, because they're just afraid of the truth. They're not used to people speaking the truth. It's hard for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like in my life, like since all this began, I've been like, I think one of my missions is to like trigger people, because I just tend to trigger a lot of, like, just from speaking my truth, you're triggering people, because they're not used to it. Or like, when you like are blunt and you just say it as it is, people are, they're so conditioned to be a certain way and to act a certain way and to think and believe a certain way, that you're kind of breaking through that spell, and it's uncomfortable for them because they're not used to it. So on an energetic level, it can be a huge emotional trigger for other people. And they get angry at you, and you're like, oh my God, I just like was speaking my truth. Like, don't be angry. And then you're like, okay, I gotta just make some space. And it's like, yeah, I've noticed that a lot lately. Some of my good friends, or used to be good friends, it's like, I'd say something, I'd be in my power and speaking my truth, and that would offend them. They take it personal, and they start like pointing the finger at me, and I'm just like, hey, I'm not here to like, I'm just speaking what I believe. It's nothing personal. So
it's very interesting. I got in a little bit of a heated debate last weekend. I was a guest at somebody's house. I brought over some food. We harvested the oysters and brought them over to the house, and we started getting onto, conversations about the lockdown and stuff like that. And then I brought up, what I've been learning about what's going on in the States with Trump and the white hats. So when we speak about like, you don't know what to call the truthers and stuff like that. But I think we're white hats and we're truthers, you know, and we want the truth. But it rubbed this guy the wrong way. And he was just like, you think Trump is anything more than just a self-centered son of a bitch? You know, he just all cares about himself and stuff like that. And it went on for a little bit, and I could feel myself getting triggered because I was trying to share with these people how Biden is like a pedophile and all the things that have come out, but the media doesn't cover it. And yet they just still think that because they've been brainwashed to believe that, you know, orange man bad and stuff like that. But I said, you know, like when I decided to start speaking the truth and I could feel the truth in my heart, in my solar plexus, and right in my intuition, and that got stronger, that rubbed him the wrong way. And he got so upset he had to leave. And he shook my hand. He's like, you know what, we can be friends, but I'm upset. And he left. Well, a couple of days later, he texted, said, I'm really sorry. That was not a very good moment, but he apologized. But it's like, well, what was it that triggered him so much? But he was one of the guys that said, you drank the Kool-Aid. And it's just like, oh my goodness. So people are really brainwashed to think that we drank Kool-Aid because we opened up. Mm-hmm. We're not watching the mainstream media. I mean, how long has it been since I've watched TV? It's been about 15 years. I don't have a TV. I haven't owned a TV. When you moved into the house, we never had a TV. We looked up what we wanted to watch, which was mostly education. And that was another thing that I thought I was impressed with you, is that you didn't waste time watching Netflix or anything like that. You get home after work or something, I'd see you just researching stuff. And that was awesome because we have to treat our brains like a computer. So what we put into it, you know, is what's going to come out. You know, you feed it good information, it's going to compute, and then it's going to spit out proper good information. I hope so. If you're just constantly watching the news and just Netflix, well, what are you going to be contributing to humanity? You're just going to talk about the latest episode of, you know, the stuff that is really, it's meant to get you addicted to it and hooked on it. And I don't like that. When everybody says, oh, you got to watch a show, it's like, why would I want to waste my time? Like, I'm sure I would get addicted to it, but I don't want to. I want to look up what the trivium is and quadrivium and learn about, you know, astrology and numerology and, you know, that kind of stuff. And we can talk about that on another episode and stuff, because there's so much to discuss about that, you know.
Well, it's just amazing how many people are hooked on Netflix, because like whenever I'm talking to people, having like a conversation with somebody on the street or something, they're like, oh, have you seen this show? Have you seen that? And I'm like, no, like I don't watch that stuff. But it's like it came up in a conversation right before coming here. Actually, somebody was talking to me and the same thing. And it's just like, holy crap. Like, and it's these big media empires. It's like, they created it to mind control people. Like that was the whole intent behind it. So I don't think things have really changed. So I'm really careful. Like, you know, I did a bit of hypnotherapy training and just understanding how the subconscious, like you could even just be in another room, but whatever is broadcasting, you're dumping right into your subconscious mind. And yeah, a lot of that stuff your brain's like a sponge, especially to young kids. So it's really important for kids, especially to not be around that kind of stuff, because they could be programming their belief systems.
You definitely notice it.
That's not necessarily like good beliefs.
You notice it when you step away from it for so long. And then, so if I go over to somebody's house and they've got the news on, I can feel my energy change right away. They start you can sense the lies, and you hear that there's no emotion behind these people. There's no soul. They're soulless drones that are just talking, or clones and whatever. And I can feel it, and I have to get out of the room. It's just disgusting what they're doing. Yeah, I definitely stay away from that.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's a form of black magic, and there's even deeper tactics, the energetic tactics that they use with the broadcasting, things that we don't even see or that we're aware of. They use different kind of black magic energetics to hook into our field and stuff like that when we're not aware of it. But yeah, that's why I think it's so important for like anyone like who's watching this right now. if you're feeling an urge to speak up and speak your truth, like start a channel. And just, you know, I felt really motivated to do this because I was so tired of like just repeating myself over and over to like people on the street. And you know, it's like, well, this is exhausting and draining, so you know, I might as well just like have conversations online, and at least I can pick who I want to talk to.
Yeah.
And still, like, whoever is like drawn to this type of frequency can come and watch, and you know, you can leave whenever you want. But I think it's so important for everyone to start speaking up right now, because yeah, it's like clearing this area, clearing our throat chakra and reconnecting, realigning ourselves energetically, is that's how we step into our power and our sovereignty.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem is it's like Mark Twain, his quote is becoming really famous right now because it's so true right now, and it's you know, it's easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they've been fooled. And that's pretty much we're up against, that they've been fooled, they've been lied to. And but when you try to tell them that, they're like, there's no way that, you know, there's people working against us and that we've been lied to. And that's why you sound crazy, you know. But and then they're being programmed on TV, programmed, you know, that's why they're called programs. And it's just easy if they just believe all that stuff, they get caught up in the fear. That's another way they do it too, right? You know, they just, fear porn is the news right now. So, and then speaking of the symbolisms and the ritual stuff, today is Super Bowl Sunday apparently. And what I noticed the last couple of years, you know, I don't even watch sports anymore. It would waste the time. And I think NFL now stands for No Fans Left. I thought that was a pretty good one because everybody's just dumbing it. But anyways, halftime shows, I've learned they're very satanic. They're like doing a lot of symbolistic stuff, you know, with satanic ritual stuff. And this is the moment when everybody's watching. So that's how they can pull it off and cast spells on people and suck you in to that. And people don't even see it. They don't realize it. And
it's not even that. Like, it's like they've been doing this with music videos for the longest time, and just even kids shows, like in subliminal ways. And it's like, it's really in your face. Like once you wake up to the symbolism and what they do, like in their cult, you start picking up on everything that they do publicly.
What symbolism are you talking about?
Which are all stolen, of course, like, and reversed, but they're all our ancient ancestors' symbols.
Yeah, if you look at all the musicians that have been on the halftime show, you know, and they're on covers of magazines, they're always covering the one eye, because the one eye is symbol is huge, you know. There's so much stuff, you know, and that can be another topic right there, just all the symbols and how they've stolen them.
Yeah, it's so amazing though. Like once you break out of this, it's like everything just becomes so in your face, and you have a higher understanding of what's been playing out and how they, like, even just like the whole idolatry thing and like worshiping somebody, who, like putting somebody above you, you know, and having all these exterior gods and stuff like that. And it's just like all intentional to pretty much hook into our kundalini, our energetic field, and siphon off of us. Like,
yeah.
So it's super powerful. Like, so it's just like to even think that when I was growing up, like, you know, we always looked at the celebrities and, you know, rappers or whatever. Like I remember when I was growing up, it's like Eminem was so popular. So you'd listen to Eminem, and it's like, when I think back to it, I'm like, oh my God, those lyrics were so dark. Like he was pretty much like pushing people to commit suicide and abuse their girlfriends and stuff like that. And I was listening to that stuff when I was like 14. And it's just like, holy, like I can't.
Oh, it's bad. I've heard.
Garbage.
Like, I was hanging out in a backyard one time, and I could hear the kids behind where I was in another yard, and they were singing along to some song, some rap song, some women singers. And I was like, what are they saying? And I grabbed a phone and I Shazammed it and found out who it was and the lyrics they were singing. And I could just, by the tell of their voices, I could tell these kids were maybe 7 or 8. And they're talking about sleeping with their exes and all this stuff. And I'm like, these kids, they don't even know what they're singing right now. And their parents allowing not that you don't have much say anymore what they're going to listen to, what they're exposed to. But one thing I do know is that the symbolism will be their downfall at the same time too, because now that we're aware of it, I started noticing a while ago, when false flags happen because of gematria, and if something would happen, if you looked at the person that perpetrated some incident, some false flag thing, their name would always equal 33 in gematria. So that's how they do it. It's like, so now once you are onto their frequency and what their symbols are, you kind of get to know who's behind it. And because they kind of have to show that. That's kind of their agreement, I guess, to be inside the cult, So it's interesting because now you can just see it even more. Not only can you feel it, but when they start using the symbols, you're like, okay, I know they're a part of the cult, the cabal, the satanic.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Oh man, it's been like the last few months has been insane. I'm so excited though, like for where we're going. And
yeah, me too.
I have no doubt in my mind. Like I've always seen this like higher timeline of like freedom and us coming together and governments collapsing, and yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm really, really excited, and I think it's gonna take time to kind of organize things and whatnot. But yeah, we're stepping into a pretty amazing period of time. Pretty lucky to be here.
Yeah, and I mean that's great because I do too. I see it, and so I've been praying a whole lot. I've been, just trying to get as much information as I can. But when I share this stuff with people, they're like, oh, "I hope you're right." I just don't see it happening, and so many people are resistant to it. And it's like, well, we get to create our own realities, and this is things I was doing that in 2017. I started practicing that stuff. The kind of speaking into reality and meditating on things, and the universe was delivering to me, and it was amazing. I could manifest so quickly, and so I didn't have worries anymore. It's like we get to now create our own realities, and I do see what's coming. Most people don't because they're paying attention to the mainstream media. You got to turn that stuff off. Most people, they realize that 6 corporations own all the media and that it's just Operation Mockingbird. They're all just, but they don't want to believe that there's some type of agenda behind it all. So they're really closed-minded to that. So when you share other things with them, they're not quite ready to accept it. They don't think that we can get by without a central banking system. They don't think that we can move into a golden age and get away from that debt-based society. Well, I'm hopeful. I know that we are. I can see the signs, and so I'm making my decisions based on this, and I'm prospering. It's like I'm in heaven. Heaven is on earth, and we've been able to manifest that, and that's what I can go to bed every night so grateful. And my prayers are like that. My prayers are thank you for supplying us with the abundance and everything that you provide for us. So
yeah. No, I wouldn't have come back here if it was going to be like this. I know. I remember when I was a kid, like, I came into this earth and I was like, what the hell is government? Like, I've always been super sensitive to energies. And like, when I was a kid, I could project my consciousness into like any kind of group or collective or entity of sorts that had a consciousness. So when I was young, I was picking up the density of government systems and what was behind it. And I was just like, this is disgusting. Like, why are we like listening to this structure? And like, just didn't make sense to me. And I'm like, everything was just so dense around it. And my parents worked for the government, ironically enough. So I always had those thoughts when I was young. And I'm like, I don't like this government thing. Like, it doesn't feel good to me. And I always had that ever since I was like really, really young, like 2, 3 years, 4 years old, I was picking it up. And so, yeah, I've always had that knowing. And then with everything coming out and the more I learned, I'm just like, I totally was picking up the satanic aspect of it. And when you think about it, it's all built on bloodshed and thievery. Like none of it is good. So
yeah, well, I remember having these conversations. Sorry.
I personally believe it just needs to all come down. Like it has to collapse and come down, and then we have to rebuild from there because of the foundation is rotten in it. And that's what I really loved about Sasha Stone. Like he was the first one I heard publicly coming out saying like all governments will be abolished in 10 years. I'm like, yes, like I love that. That's awesome. And I'm like, that's what I think too. And it's like, I get it. Like it literally has to all come down. And then we rebuild what we want from there, like what actually we want as living souls of the earth, you know? This earth is ours. It's not anyone else's. And yeah, we don't have to answer to anyone. We're sovereign.
Well, okay, so this is the thing. We talked about this from the beginning. So what is the government? It's nothing tangible. It's what we put our minds to, right? It's not like you can go and you can grab onto the government and like throw it in the trash. The government, it's right there in the word. What is it? Govern is to control. Government, and then the ment is the mental. So control the mind. It's control the thoughts of people. Yep. And it's become too big. And if we put our trust into that, then we're giving up our power and putting it into it. It's like, so this is one thing I was learning before you came into my life and you lived at the house. I was studying how to become a sovereign being. And what that means is find out who you are. If you stand under God and his creation, you're born with these rights, these inalienable rights. You cannot change these things. And as long as you follow the golden rules, nothing can touch you. You don't give in to these laws. And then I found out how they're actually entrapping people into their government. So I stepped outside of that. I got out of the banking system and I stepped away from just being stuck in that entrapment. And so I read some really good books online of women, or a woman specifically, who took on all the big corporations in her life, and she stepped out of it, and that was inspiring. And basically that's what you have to do. You have to know how to stand as a sovereign being. You know, so God created man created the government. So where do you stand? Are you going to stand below something that's intangible and that just be created by man? So then you're giving up your power. So an interesting thing that, you know, we talk about and more people need to understand, which is funny, I just said that, but it's really stand under. What we need to is never understand what a police officer or a judge or anybody says to you. When they say, do you understand? What they mean is, do you stand under me? Say, no. I understand my creator is my boss. And then we created the government. So the government stands below us. We're the ones that are supposed to be in control. And that's the amazing thing. And I think that's what we're about to get back into with the Republic of the US, is no longer the corporation. It's going to go back to the people, for the people, by the people. And that's how we stand as sovereign beings. And that's the way it was meant to be. But for thousands of years, everybody's been enslaved. And you just have to know, how do you want to give up your power and hand it over to other people? You know?
Yeah. So. And like what I really try to, you know, enough of us need to, I feel like you can be awake, but you can still be supporting the very same thing that's devouring you. So it's kind of like educating yourself and learning how to actually physically disentangle from the structure or the false light thing that's like in control, or whatever, governments or whatever you want to call it. So it's like learning how to disengage from it, because when we disengage from it, we're no longer projecting plasma into that thing and manifesting it and holding it up. So when we can literally just all walk away and ignore it, and like it's gonna be destroyed, it's gonna collapse. So that's kind of what I see. I see more and more people being like, okay, no, I don't want to be empowering this thing anymore. So I'm going to stop paying taxes. I'm going to stop paying taxes, and I'm going to eject myself from this matrix by restructuring my life in a way where I can operate as a sovereign, resilient being and provide for my family in whatever means I want. So, and no one's going to tell me what to do. And I feel like from this point forward, it's like we're going to start forming conscious communities, and we're going to start coming together and living in the way that we want to live. So we're more powerful as a unit than, like, it's really scary doing this on your own and being the only one in your community doing it. But it's like, once we start coming together and moving to specific regions of the world and forming these conscious communities, then we can actually live this way, like fully 100% without being harassed.
I mean, once you find out where all the taxpayer money is going, you know, and it's going to wars and endless wars, and for what reason, you know, it's like, why do you want to be a part of that? Why would you give up? You know, you're already paying taxes every time you spend $1, every time you get fuel, every time you buy goods, you're paying taxes, and that's well enough to get everything that we need, right? So why pay your hard-earned money? Why would you give that up to them? There's no law that says you have to pay income taxes. That's illegal. It's actually, it's not legal. It's you know, and that's what we have to also remember, is that we are lawful beings. We're not illegal and legal. We're lawful beings. We don't need to be giving the government money to go overseas and doing things like killing other people. Why would you want to support that? So step out of that system. Why would you want to, if you continue to do that, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? It's like, the more you wake up to what's been going on, you're like, hell no, like, I'm not supporting that. That's, you know, because once you are aware and you're conscious, you have a responsibility to act. You have to act in a way that is like in alignment with your ethics and morals. So if you're not a fan, or if you're not supportive of, you know, satanic blood sacrifices, or you know, going and creating wars in other countries, if that doesn't align with you, then you should withdraw your energy from this thing, right? Like, once you're aware and you're conscious, that's your responsibility as a sovereign being, you know, like, that's where everyone has to step into. So like, once you can play ignorance and whatever, and still support it, but you're again supporting that energy. But once you're conscious, it is your moral and ethical responsibility to withdraw from that structure, I believe.
True. Yep, and that's what we've done. It takes a little bit of time, and it takes a bit of courage, but man, is it ever exciting and free feeling, you know. It's like that first time you go skinny dipping, you feel so free. It feels like that, you know. You just like release the shackles and say, no, I don't choose to play your game, you know. And that's how we can handle ourselves and navigate through life. When an officer comes up to you and asks you questions, you know, you don't need to participate. You can just say, I don't wish to participate or contract with you, because that's all it is. They're trying to contract with you. So no, I don't wish to participate. I don't need to answer your questions. In fact, who are you? Show me who you are. What's your badge number, and what oath did you take, you know? And to try to be peaceful, because for so long I've been angry, and I would get worked up, you know, because I get so tired of what they've been doing to us, but it doesn't help. So you need to stay calm. It's like Sasha Stone, you know, he kind of is a good mentor when it comes to that, you know. If you just speak to them with kindness, because we're all just brothers, you know, and so we just have to stay calm and peaceful and just let them know. It's like, hey, I see you as a brother. I haven't hurt anybody, I haven't damaged any property. So unless you're arresting me, I'm going to just carry on and move forward. You know, I have the right to move forward. So that's what I really wish that more people can learn that. And I see that movement coming back, because they took down a lot of that stuff on YouTube that was showing people how to become a sovereign being and how to get out of the system and to stand in your power, and notice how they've entrapped us, you know, with the birth certificate and stuff like that, and how they're trading us on the stock market, and they just move that around and sell and buy us, and how we become the chattel, and how they stole the gold behind all the money, and how money is just how you're enslaved. So it feels great because we are out of that, and you know, I'm out of the mortgage game, and putting money into crypto now, and lots into silver. And I think that this is the way to go. So something's got to back your money. And we realized that the Federal Reserve, they're just printing money nonstop, and it's not backed by anything. And so they've enslaved us with us working hard all our lives for what? So that you can have some piece of paper that has nothing backing it and constantly deflating in value, you know? So I've been turning a lot of that into silver, buying silver and holding on to it. It's only at $26 US an ounce right now. And according to the debt clock on the United States government website, it should be closer to $4,000 now. So I'm waiting for that to happen. And I encourage people to hold on to it, because that is one way we can break the system and make them fall and collapse, because they've been selling more silver certificates than actual silver that's available. So if everybody goes out and buys silver and we all hold on to it, it collapses their whole system, because they've been shorting it for a long time. So, and if everybody went to the banks right now, took their money out, put it into silver, or put it into a credit union where they don't lend out more than they have, this is one way we speed up this process, and we can move into this a new financial system that's not the great reset that they've been trying to do, that we're being faced with. It's more empowering ourselves and holding on to something of value and getting out of that Federal Reserve system. Many people didn't know that the Federal Reserve wasn't a branch of the United States government. It's just a banking cartel that took over in 1913. And you can read a really good book called Creature from Jekyll Island that describes how that all took place. And so you read books like that, and it really opens up your mind to how it all went down and how it's all being played out. And like Ford said a long time ago, is the Ford, the automaker, said, if the American people only knew how the banking system worked, there would be a revolution by tomorrow morning, because it has been so fraudulent, and yet people don't get it. And there was this young kid, she was 14 in Canada, made a YouTube video explaining in great detail, very articulate, on how the money system worked, how the banking system was fraudulent. And it's like, man, adults don't even know this stuff, but you can educate yourself on this, and then ask yourself, do you want to be a part of that? Do you want to be a part of this cabal, this banking system that is destroying lives and enslaving people through this system? And I choose no. And so I've gotten out of that system, and I no longer bank with any of these. And they're also corrupt, and they've been laundering money for a long time and stuff. So it's like every time you deposit money, they lend out 9 times what you just put in there. And so it's like, that's why we can collapse the bank if we all took money out, because there would be nothing left for them. So I encourage people to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to come down the pipe with this new quantum financial system. But yeah, you could even take it a notch up, like a higher perspective of that, and say that we won't have monetary currency in the future anyways, because you're unitizing our life force energy. Like, and time doesn't exist. Like, that's another cult program, unitizing our life force with time, our energy and life force. So you can say that that's pretty diabolical. And then once we open up to our potential and our innate abilities as Homo sapiens, we're all telepathic. We just forget. We don't need time. Back in the day, our ancient ancestors would just be like, okay, I'm going to meet this person at that location, when the sun is in this alignment, and it happened. So yeah, all of these structures and concepts have been not in alignment with who we are as divine, infinite, spiritual beings that are eternal. We're just, yeah. So I'm excited for more of that to move into play again, and for people to wake up to these abilities that we have, because we have a lot of amazing superpowers.
Well, it's interesting. So there's so much we can talk about that. In the quantum financial system that sounds like it's coming in place is not to be confused with the Great Reset that Klaus Schwab is trying to force with the globalism and George Soros. It is
like a German accent.
What's that?
Say that again.
The Klaus Schwab, because he's a German globalist. He's in charge of that financial organization that was that takes place in Davos. And Trump finally went to it. I guess nobody from the United States, the president hasn't gone since Clinton, but he went, and he's basically got them crapping in their pants right now because we're not going to be a part of it. So what I was going to say is we're heading into a new era. We've been hearing about it for so long, since the 70s, the age of Aquarius and the golden age, and we've heard this term before. And I believe that this is really where we're headed. And so it's at the right time. And that's why things are getting so crazy. They're trying to push the Great Reset and the Build Back Better and stuff. And they're taking advantage of, the pandemic so that they can enforce this upon us. But we're doing everything opposite of what they've wanted. So yeah, I do believe that we've gained control of the gold, our sovereignty, and it's all coming back to us, And so there's enough signs, if you do your research and look into it, that some good things are coming. Nasera Jacera kind of stuff, that I know you're aware of. So not everybody is, but I would assume that most people that are kind of where we are at, they've heard of Nasera Jacera and what that's all about. So if not, then I think you should look into it. If we don't already, if it's not going to be introduced in the next month or so, then start looking into it, because it is coming. I do believe it's coming.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. Should we touch on anything else, or should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we really touched on a lot of things that we've talked about in the past. I know that there's many more conversations to be had in the future. Every day, new information is coming at us at a very rapid pace right now. So, no, let's just keep updating every so often. I'm going to start uploading my stuff as well, and so I appreciate you giving me this platform at the moment and just getting used to it. I have a conversation that I hope to have with a friend in California who is going to enlighten me with the situation down there. She's going through a lot of struggles. I've known her for a long time, and so we keep each other informed. And that was one thing, is when I do this research and I feel more optimistic about what's happening. When I share this with other people, especially like on some social media like Gab, people are like, oh my God, there's no plan and stuff like that. But if I share a little bit of information, it's like, no, there is something. If you look, just giving people that hope that we need, they feel so much better, and I think that's kind of what we need to do, is uplift each other and don't feed into the fear, because that makes you make bad decisions. And I noticed when I started making better decisions and not living in fear, sure, it was scary to move off on my own or sell my house. But oh my gosh, does it ever liberate you and make you feel better? You make right decisions. And now my life is just abundant and I feel so great. And so I need to share that with other people and make them feel, or try to help them, uplift them and spark their fire and let them know that we are definitely we are headed towards the golden age. So,
well, that's kind of how we got to where we are, is that we've been making decisions out of fear, like reactionary decisions, which, when you're in fear and you're making a decision, you're not clear in this part of your brain. So it's like, okay, when you recognize that, when you can be the observer and like, okay, I'm making this quick decision and I'm not in alignment. I'm kind of in fear right now. So I'm going to go in, center myself, and really take the time to think about it. And then with kind of that perception of things, you can step back and take the time to actually think logically and connect to your own innate wisdom in order to make the decision moving forward. So
yeah,
a lot of what we see happening right now is that a lot of people are reacting in fear, and that's how they get us. So
yeah. And one good way to step out of that is to get into nature and breathe some fresh air. But I find if you just go get into nature, we're very fortunate because we have nature all around us, and we can just be in a rainforest within 5 minutes of where we are, and just sit there and you get calm and peaceful, and you just pick up on that energy. and it just puts you at peace. And, and surfing's always done that for us too. Every time we go surfing, you come out and you're like, oh, I feel so much better. I was worried about things, and now I can make decisions and everything's good. All our problems are set aside. And that was another thing too, is that we just, if we realize we can hand off our problems to our creator, and she will take care of it for us,
Oh yeah, definitely. And I feel like, when people talk about like go out and get in nature, it's like, well, we are nature. Like, so really what we're doing is just recalibrating our energetic field back to source energy. Like, that's all it is. Yeah. So it's like we live in such an inorganic way these days, like separating ourselves from our true nature.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go hang out with the trees. I'm gonna go like lay on the grass and then just recalibrate, recenter yourself.
Get grounded, right?
Yeah.
And definitely connect with yourself. And that's what happens. You end up connecting with yourself, and then you realize, hey, that tree needs me and I need that tree. We're both providing something. It's a symbiotic relationship. And there's just something peaceful and beautiful about it. So.
And I just know, I was sitting in I made this little bathtub with the cooler on the sailboat the other night, and I was like under the stars having a hot bath. And I was just like, wow, like I just, something clicked in me. I'm like, I feel so safe and secure when I'm like just embraced by the energetics of the earth. Like, it's just like this mama energy. Like, I just felt so like I could just melt. And every time, and I recognize, like, every time I walk in the forest or I'm in the ocean, there's like no worries. I'm like, I am so at home and at peace, and nothing can hurt me. Like I've always had that ever since I was a kid, like this no fear and just this internal warmth and comfort where when I immerse myself in the elements. So yeah, so powerful.
People that live in cities, they're disconnected. And I think this was what happened a long time ago. That when before TV, like our television and everything, we were staring up at the stars, and there was no light pollution. So you were looking up at the stars and learning everything that way. And then, I think people have forgotten that, but our days of the week are actually named after the 7 roaming stars that are in our sky. Today is the Sunday, so, and then tomorrow will be the moon day, and then Tuesday is Mercury day, and stuff like that. So we've forgotten that because we're so connected to that, that that's how we navigated. So we can talk more about that in another one, because the more I studied about what we've been lied to about space and everything like that, and how it's changed my life, that's a whole nother hour-and-a-half conversation maybe. So maybe we should wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good. All right.
Well, thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you again.
This was awesome. All right. Well, we'll talk again. And yeah, anyone who wants to follow Doug, what's your channel going to be under?
Well, Douglas Fir 1111 is on Gab, but there's nothing we're trying to sell right now. At some point, we would love to have you out on our boat that hosts people. We do wellness retreats, and that's teachmis.com. That's TIICMIS. That's one way we can connect and see what we're about. But otherwise, you'll just hopefully start to hear more from us, and then we'll connect that way. So on Gab, I'm Douglas Fir 111.
Okay, I'll put maybe the links on the video.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right.
There'll be more conversations, everyone. This is just the beginning. So thank you for watching. Thank you.